Hey everyone, Nick here. I just wanted to update you on the goings-ons of the channel. First thing you might notice is, well, me. This Nick exists because if I'm being honest, I never really liked being on camera. Inspired by all these awesome folks and their avatars, I decided to draw up a cartoon of myself in lieu of my face. The second element is the branding. This logo has actually been gathering dust for almost 2 years, but I hadn't found a good way to use it until now. To me, it represents like a 3D box, kind of polygonal modeling, symbolizing my joy of 3D world building. Overall, I'm intending to lower the brandedness, I suppose, of the channel. It just makes for more stuff I have to work on, and more stuff you have to sit through before getting to the point I'm trying to make. But past the surface level things, I feel as though there is some explaining I have to do. My channel is ultimately my place to share things I make and talk about things I find interesting. But since about 2018, I really haven't been able to do that properly. For those that don't know, I run SkyPyre Studios, an indie game studio myself and some friends from university co-founded in 2017. For the last 6 years and change, I've split my YouTube focus between that channel and my own. Unfortunately, the reality is when one channel is about your stuff and the other channel is your business, you favor the business. That's to say nothing of the fact that most of my project time is spent on SkyPyre work. In this case, project time being the time I have available outside my full-time job as a UX graphic designer to work on game-related things. Needless to say, I haven't been able to give this channel the love I really think it deserves. With a few things shifting around behind the scenes though, I believe that won't be the case going forward. The TLDR is SkyPyre as a business has repositioned itself as a collective publisher, almost, where us developers and designers at the studio are working on our own projects, which the studio will act as a publisher for. This means what I am now working on is ultimately mine, and thus I feel much better talking about it here rather than on that channel. I know that was a lot, but hopefully it gives you some clarity on where I'm at currently.
Cool, man, but what is it you are doing?
Oh, right. So what am I doing? Well, many things. The channel is all about games and game creation, building our virtual experiences we all know and love. One way I express that is through making Unreal Tournament maps, many of which you can already see here with more on the way. As I discover things I think people might find interesting, I'd like to dip into my experience as a teacher, showing processes and tools for game creation. Things like Blender and Unreal Engine tips, environment design theory, and game design. I'm also an indie dev, so I've started and plan to continue sharing my game development projects here. The first of which being a small RTS project I shared a few months back. As for other projects, that's where things get a little funky. If you know my work over on the SkyPyre channel, you'll know I had 2 projects in production. An arena FPS called AltFire, which was put on hold in early 2023, and a top-down twin-stick shooter called Tussle, which had a reveal back in November of 2023. This is the part of the video where the solo indie dev tells you about burnout. It's dog ass. I won't get into detail since I think most of you will have heard all you need to about the issue from someone else. So long story short, I was working on AltFire but was overwhelmed by the scale of it, at least what I wanted it to be. Thinking smart, I said okay, I'll make a smaller game, 3 months max. Having recently made a twin-stick shooter for Game Jam, I was inspired and Armored Tussle was born. A solid year of 16 to 20 hour work weeks later, and half of my 3-month game finished, 12 months in, I was more burnt out than a used matchstick. After the reveal, I couldn't work on it anymore. For a time, I actually couldn't work on anything. But eventually, I got back into game dev, made the RTS demo, and found my way back to thinking about AltFire. After some deliberation, I decided to dive into working on it, fresh, a new project, with all I'd learned from previous development experience and a new perspective. So while the first 2 devlogs for AltFire are on the SkyPyre channel, future ones will be here, starting with Devlog 3, which is out now. As for Armored Tussle, that's a little more unknown. I mean, I paid for the Steam page, the game is still visible. There's a lot of completed assets in there which I wouldn't have to remake if I restarted the project. The issue was I had designed a game as a game jam game in scope, something that would only take 3 months to complete. So it lacks a good central game design pillar which would give it depth, and lacks the core needed to really sell it as a product. I do plan to return to the idea at some point down the line, reworking it to make it a game worth making, and hopefully a better game worth playing too. But, at least for now, its development will be on hold indeterminately. In the end, what is this channel? Well, it's my creative work in environment and level design, devlogs and progress on solo indie dev projects, fresh Unreal Tournament maps, and hopefully some educational content on game design, development, and tools of the trade. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, I look forward to sharing more of it with you. Otherwise, I've been Nick. I make games. Check out the latest SkyPyre devlog. And until next time, take care.